How you doing? Having a good day? Having a hungry day? I hope you are. There's been a lot of controversy with Epic Games. So here's a little video while I was sick, just reading the Epic Games terms of service. Hope you enjoy. Here we go. So you grant Epic a license to use whatever content you create using this service. You can find more information in the user-generated content section below. So under their privacy policy, fan content policy, and their terms of service, rules for the websites. You and Epic agree to resolve disputes between us and the individual arbitration, not in court. This agreement contains a binding individual arbitration and class action waiver provision.
So you can't even sue them.
But now this right here, about game currency and content. Epic may offer you the ability to acquire licenses to in-game currency or content such as purchasing a limited license to use. Regardless of any references Epic may make outside of this agreement to purchasing or selling your game currency or content, both game currency and content are licensed. So you don't even own the money in the game.
Wow.
Not sold to you under the license.
So they basically could just remove your in-game money and it's perfectly legal.
Oh yeah, but that's not all. There's so much about this, like how you have no control over the money. Except as otherwise prohibited by applicable law, Epic in its sole discretion has the absolute right to manage, modify, substitute, replace, suspend, cancel, or eliminate game currency or content.
So they can get rid of your DLCs, in-game items, and other currency or anything in your game. Whenever they feel like it.
Without notice or liability to you.
So they could just...
Including your ability to access or use game currency or content.
So if you bought a game, they could just be like, buy it again. What kind of shitty license is this?
Epic reserves and retains all rights, title, and interest, property or otherwise, in and to the game currency and content. Epic may provide features through the software or the services that allow you to create, develop, modify, or contribute content, UGC, and to upload, publish, or otherwise make available UGC to some or all users of the services. I just love this part. UGC includes without limitation, buildings, chat posts. Chat posts!
So what you're saying is that they own all, even private chat posts between users.
Yes.
That's so fucking evil.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's not evil at all. Why would you ever think such a thing? You're dumb, stupid, and ugly. So character data, game customization, in-game construction, replays, cinematic, scripts and programs, modes, gameplay. So your gameplay, period. Your gameplay. You are literally being recorded in-game through the replay function, and they own not only the replay that you made, but your gameplay of the replay. Experiences, interactive features, they own your screenshot, your music, sound recording, and the musical works embodied therein, audio-visual combinations, musical works, animations, and other types of works, standalone or in combination. If you take a screenshot of Fortnite, they own that screenshot and they can do whatever the fuck they want. License to Epic. If you make or have made available any UGC in the services, you give Epic permission to host, copy, import, store, modify, adapt, display, publicly perform, including by means of digital audio transmissions, reproduce and make mechanical reproductions of musical works embodied in sound recording, create derivative works including synchronized to visual images, publicly display, transfer, sub-license, and distribute, collectively use that UGC in whole or in part, including for commercial publicity and marketing purposes in any country. This permission is perpetual and irrevocable and applies to any media, platform, or channel in connection with the software and services.
So they own everything.
Every single thing that you do in the slightest, they completely own. The best part about this, the rights you grant to Epic in this section are provided on a through to the audience basis, which means the owners or operators of third-party services will not have any separate liability to you or any other third party for UGC provided to or used or such third-party services via the service. Epic needs these permissions in order to make your UGC available to players. This is so fucking stupid. These rights need to be irrevocable because of the many channels in which UGC is distributed by, and you also know there's after it's created. Yeah, fuck off. You understand that you are not entitled to receive any compensation, fees, consideration for any reason, including Epic's exercise of the rights you grant to Epic in this section. Epic is not obligated to exercise the rights you grant. And this is like... This is so fucking... And then your feedback. To the fullest extent permitted by law, you waive and agree to waive all rights of authorship, patentity, attribution, integrity, disclosure, withdrawal, and any other rights that are known or referred to as moral rights, artist rights, right moral, or other similar rights recognized under any legal or equitable theory of any country or under any treaty, regardless of whether that right is referred to as moral right, collectively moral rights. In and to your UGC, you further knowingly and irrevocably agree to not exercise any moral right in and to your UGC that you have not waived in any manner that interferes with exercise of granted rights. You waive and agree not to assert your moral rights, even if your UGC is altered or changed in a manner not agreeable to you. Isn't that fun? Oh my god. You have no rights!
So you basically have no rights. You're basically their slave.
Literally, I mean, I love how they put that in there. Moral rights. Isn't that fun?
This is the most Nazi I've ever seen a video game company get. They're worse than EA somehow.
Yeah.
I don't... We finally have the new crowned victor of the worst video game company to exist.
Don't worry though, they consider your feedback as UGC. If you provide Epic with any feedback, you hereby grant Epic a non-exclusive, fully paid, royalty-free, worldwide, perpetual, irrevocable, sub-licensable, transferable, and assignable license to use, reproduce, distribute, modify, adapt, prepare derivative works based on, publicly perform, publicly display, make, have made, use, sell, offer to sell, import, and otherwise exploit any and all feedback for any purposes, for all content and future methods and forms of exploitation. Feedback means suggestions, comments, ideas, and other types of information, including software and code that you provide, publish, or otherwise communicate directly or indirectly, including your employees, agents, contractors, or representatives to Epic or its agents that relates to the services or software. If any such rights may not be licensed under applicable laws such as moral and other personal rights, you hereby waive and agree not to assert any such rights. You understand and agree that Epic is not required to make any use of any feedback that you provide. You agree that if Epic makes use of your feedback, Epic is not required to credit or compensate you for contribution. You represent and warrant that you have sufficient rights in any feedback that you provide to Epic to grant and other affected parties in the rights described above. This includes, but not limited to, intellectual property rights and other proprietary or personal rights. We're going to make that a feature in the game, and we're going to exploit this as much as we can, but we're not going to credit you in the slightest. And you know what? We own this idea. It doesn't matter if you suggested it. Epic, its licensors, and their affiliates do not guarantee continuous, error-free, virus-free, or secure operation of or access to the software or services. This paragraph will apply to the maximum extent permitted by applicable law.
So they can infect your computer and it's perfect.
Yeah, it literally is right there. I mean, we don't say that it's going to be virus-free, so I mean, you can't sue us for having a virus in there. I mean,
yeah, so we can just infect everybody's computer, get even more information, and it's still legal.
yeah, you know, the usual. What
So
a piece of shit company.
So it goes from their platform being a piece of spyware and running a majority of its scans while the software is open, to them literally being able to install legitimate spyware on your machine because you said it was allowed to be there.
To the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, neither Epic nor its licensors or their affiliates, nor any of Epic's service providers collectively, the Epic parties, shall be liable in any way for any loss of profits or any indirect, incidental, consequential, special, punitive, or explanatory damages arising out of or in connection with this agreement or the software, including any game currency or content, or services, or the delay or inability to use or lack of functionality of the software or services, even in the event of an Epic party's fault, including negligence, strict liability, indemnity, product liability, breach of contract, breach of warranty, or otherwise, and even if an Epic party has been advised of the possibility of such damages. Further, to the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, the aggregate liability of Epic's parties arising out of or in connection with this agreement or the software, including any game currency or content or services, will not extend the total amounts you have paid, if any, to Epic software, including any game currency or content, during the 12 months immediately preceding the events giving rise to such liability. These limitations and exclusions regarding damages apply even if any remedy falls to provide adequate compensation. So if you get a virus and your shit fucks up and you lose money from this, they're not liable.
They're not liable even if the virus came from them, the way it was written. So they can literally infect your machine and get away with it.
Yep.
Probably
Indemnity.
will too.
This section only applies to the extent permissible applicable law. If you are prohibited by law from entering into the indemnification obligation below, then you assume, to the extent permitted by law, all liability for claims, demands, actions, losses, liabilities, and expenses, including attorney's fees, costs, and expert witnesses' fees that are stated in subject matter of the indemnification obligation below. You agree to indemnify, pay the defense costs of, and hold Epic, its licensors, and their affiliates, and their employees, officers, directors, agents, contractors, and other representatives harmless from all claims, demands, actions, losses, liabilities, and expenses, including attorney's fees, costs, and expert witnesses' fees that arise from or in connection with any claim that, if true, would constitute a breach by you if this agreement or negligence by you be any act or omission by you using the software, including any game currency or content or services, or C, any claim of infringement or violation of any third-party intellectual property rights arising from Epic's use of your UGC or feedback as provided under sections 5 or 6 in this agreement. You agree to reimburse Epic on demand of any defense costs incurred by Epic and any payments made or lost suffered by Epic, whether in a court judgment or settlement based on any matter covered by this section 9.
So
if you sue them, you're paying their court case.
How I don't even understand how in the hell something like that can even exist. Like the person
Literally, situations like this, indemnification only applies for very specific situations. Let's say if you're an investor to a corporation, etc. It should never, in this situation, apply to somebody who's using a game software.
Yeah.
The state of indemnification is beyond anything. Compensate someone for harm or loss, secure someone against legal liability for their actions. Now, here's the best part.
Yeah.
Except to the extent required by law, all payments and fees are non-refundable under all circumstances, regardless of whether or not this agreement has been terminated. So, they're not going to add refunds to their platform. They're not going to allow you to do anything when it comes to refunding in the slightest, unless it's required by law.
So you can't sue them, and they won't give you your money back, even if they should.
Sections 2, 5 through 13, and 15 through 17 will survive any termination of this agreement, meaning Section 2, up here, their license conditions 5 through 11. All user-generated content they still own even after termination. All feedback they own. All third-party licenses they have control over. The limitation of liability is still in effect. Your indemnification is still in effect. And these ones that we don't even know about are in effect, even after termination of the agreement. After you've uninstalled the Epic's Games Launcher, after you accept this license agreement, they still apply. Governing law and jurisdiction. This agreement is entered into the state of North Carolina, USA, and shall be governed by and construed in accordance with the laws of the state of North Carolina, exclusive of its choice of law rules. For any disputes deemed not subject to binding individual arbitration as provided in the section immediately below, you and Epic agree to submit the exclusive jurisdiction of the Superior Court of Wake County, North Carolina, or, if federal court jurisdiction exists, the United States District Court for Eastern District of North Carolina. You and Epic agree to waive any jurisdictional venue or inconvenient form objections to such courts without affecting either party's rights to remove a case to federal court if permissible, as well as any right to a jury trial. The Convention on Contracts for the International Sale of Goods will not apply. Any law or regulation which provides that the language of a contract shall be construed against the drafter will not apply to this agreement. This paragraph will be interpreted as broadly as applicable law permit. Binding individual arbitration. Class action waiver. Please read this section carefully. It affects your rights, including your right to file a lawsuit in court. Most issues can be resolved quickly and amicably by contacting Epic customer support, but we understand that sometimes disputes can't easily be resolved by customer support. This section explains how you and Epic agree to resolve those disputes, including, where applicable, binding individual arbitration. Arbitration is an alternative dispute resolution procedure that allows us to resolve issues without the formality of going to court. Any dispute between you and Epic is submitted to a neutral arbitrator, not a judge or jury, for fair and fast resolution. Arbitration is more efficient for both you and Epic, and controllable by us because we can pay the neutral arbitrator to be in our favor. Informal resolution. If you have an issue that our customer support can't resolve prior to starting an arbitration, you and Epic agree to attempt to resolve the dispute informally to help us with resolution and control costs for both parties. You and Epic agree to make a good faith effort to negotiate dispute between us for at least 30 days. Informal resolution. Those informal negotiations will start on the day you and Epic receive a written notice of dispute in accordance with this agreement. You will send your notice of dispute to Epic Games Inc. Legal Department. Attention, notice of dispute box 524-2474 Walnut Street, Cary, North Carolina 27518 USA. Include your name, account name you use while playing Fortnite, address, how to contact you, what the problem is, and what you want Epic to do. If Epic has a dispute with you, Epic will send our notice of dispute to your registered email address and any billing addresses you have provided us. If you reside in the European Union, may also be entitled to submit your complaint to Opinions Commission Online Dispute Resolution ODR platform. ODR allows you consumers to resolve disputes related to the online purchases of goods and services without going to court. If the dispute isn't resolved within an informal resolution or small claims court below, you or Epic may start an arbitration in accordance to this agreement. Small claims court. Instead of using informal resolution, you and Epic agree that you may sue us in small claims court in your choice of the county where you live or Wake County, North Carolina, if you meet the requirements of the small claims court. We hope you'll try informal resolution first, but you don't have to before going to small claims court. Binding individual arbitration. The arbitration proceedings in this section will be conducted in an individual basis only. You and Epic agree that disputes will be settled by binding individual arbitration conducted by the Judicial Arbitration Mediation Services Incorporated, JAMS, subject to the U.S. Federal Arbitration Act and federal arbitration law, and according to the JAMS streamlined arbitration rules and procedures effective July 1st, 2014. The JAMS rules as modified by this agreement. This means that you and Epic agree to a dispute resolution process where we submit any dispute dispute to a neutral arbitrator, not a judge or jury, that makes the final decision to resolve the dispute. Jams uses experienced professionals to arbitrate disputes, which helps you and Epic resolve any disputes fairly, but more quickly and efficiently than going to court. The arbitrator may award the same remedies to you individually as the court could, but only to the extent required to satisfy your individual claim. The arbitrator's decision is final, except for a limited review by courts under the U.S. Federal Administration Act, and can be enforced like any other court order or judgment. Disputes we agree to arbitrate. You and Epic agree to submit all disputes between you and Epic to individual binding arbitration. Dispute means any dispute, claim, or controversy except those specifically exempted below between you and Epic that relate to your use or attempted use of Epic's products or services, and Epic's products and services generally, including without limitation, the validity, enforceability, or scope of this binding individual arbitration section. You and Epic agree to arbitrate all disputes regardless of whether the dispute is based in contact, statute, relation, ordinance, tort, including fraud, misinterpretation, misrepresentation, fraudulent inducement, or negligence, or any other legal equitable theory. So that's basically saying, if Epic conducts fraud, that's perfectly fine. Just go through dispute, whatever. Don't, you're not allowed to sue them. The informal resolution arbitration sections do not apply to one individual actions in small claims court, pursuit of enforcement actions through a government agency if the law allows, a complaint or remedy under the EU General Data Protection Rights, GDPR, which they're not complying to, by the way. The GDPR is requiring your information that they store to be always accessible to you. If you want to request your information, bang, bang, you have it. But they haven't been doing that. They've been breaking the GDPR, and they're currently being investigated for that. And 4, an action to compel or uphold any prior arbitration decision. Epic's rights to seek injunctive relief against you in a court of law or to preserve the status quo while an arbitration proceeds. 6, claims of piracy, creation, distribution, or promotion of cheats, and intellectual property infringement. And 7, the enforceability of the class action waiver clause below. You and Epic agree that whether a dispute is subject to arbitration under this agreement will be determined by the arbitrator rather than the court. So right here, they've already subjected that they did this. Right here, cheats. They didn't go through an arbitration for cheats. If you remember, somebody was sued because they were producing or advertising cheats. An entire YouTube channel was completely shut down, and that one person was just killed, basically. They have fees up the ass and they just basically can't survive. Now, judges go against him. They sued a 14-year-old. Like many other online games, Fortnite is the target of cheaters who look to ruin the experience for other players. Epic Games takes cheating in Fortnite very seriously, to the point where it has pursued legal action against cheaters. Epic is now continuing with a lawsuit against one particular 14-year-old cheater. I mean, this is amazing how you have to write something like that. Epic is now continuing with the lawsuit against one particular 14-year-old cheater. A fucking 14-year-old. Epic's lawsuit against a 14-year-old. A few months ago, the defendant's mother released a letter that was interpreted by a judge as a motion to dismiss the lawsuit. However, Epic has now released a 17-page document that argues against the point that the mother made in her letter, indicating its intention to continue with the lawsuit.
Jesus Christ.
It's right here. This letter is in response to the alleged allegations of copyright infringement via Epic Games Inc. This company is sub to sue a 14-year-old child. They are claiming he prepared derivative works based upon a copyrighted work and publicly blah 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 blah. However, Epic Games Inc. failed to legally bind underage users with their EOLA agreement, which this contract between the licensor and purchaser establishing the purchaser's right to use the software. That being said, the game itself was in fact free. No purchase of said game occurred, which is completely valid. Minor means a purchase under the age of 18 years old has not been court emancipated. This is legitimate. All of this is true. But they still went after him because of these stupid fucking laws that they've impacted into this. All of these others, you saw that some of these don't even apply to people who are underage. They just fucking took away all moral rights in one of those sections that you saw. Epic's document is an attempt to deny the motion for dismissal. Let's read this one. Fortnite's developer Epic Games have found themselves in deep water after pursuing legal action against 2 cheaters in this game. As it turns out, one of the cheaters is actually a 14-year-old boy, and that mother is looking to fight back, blah blah blah. Turns out, whoopsie, Epic kept pursuing. If successful, then it could result in a default ruling in favor of Epic, where the studio would be entitled to monetary compensation. Previously, a settlement was reached where Sierra was issued a permanent injunction that would cost $5,000 if breached. Some may find it harsh that Epic is pursuing legal action against the minor, but others will point out that the individual knowingly breached Fortnite's... Yeah, shut the fuck up. It is worth pointing out that this isn't the first time Epic has pursued legal action against Fortnite cheaters. Epic's willingness to take Fortnite cheaters to court could potentially deter others from attempting to alter the game's code. Yeah, fuck off. Defendant is a cheater, said Epic Games in its October 2017 lawsuit against a 14-year-old boy. Nobody likes a cheater, and nobody likes playing with cheaters. Ugh, this is so fucked up.
Yep. Well, EA has been dethroned. EA would have to do something even more nasty to take back the #1 spot.
Epic has taken down his YouTube channel as well. But don't worry, there's more. You and Epic agree that whether the dispute is an arbitration, and they would say blah blah blah. A continuation in effect. This binding individual arbitration section survives any termination of this agreement. Epic's provision of services to you. Your 30-day right to opt out. You have the right to opt out and not be bound by arbitration and class action waiver provisions set forth in this agreement. To exercise this right, you must send written notice of your decision to the following addresses: Epic Games Inc., Legal Department, ATTN, Arbitration Opt-Out Box 254-2474 Walnut Street, Cary, North Carolina 27518 USA. Your notice must include your name, mailing address, and account name you use while playing Fortnite, and state that you do not wish to resolve disputes with Epic through arbitration. To be effective, this notice must be postmarked or deposited within 30 days of the date on which you first accepted this agreement, unless a longer period is required by applicable law. Otherwise, you will be bound to arbitrate disputes in accordance with this section. You are responsible for ensuring that Epic receives your opt-out notice, so that you may wish to send it by a means that provides for delivery receipt. The following additional terms and conditions apply with respect to the software available for use on PlayStation devices that you own or control. Please note that Epic will store Sony Entertainment Network account information, including your email address and online ID, as explained in the Epic's privacy policy. Epic may allow its users to search for other Epic accounts by their SEN account, and other Epic users may send you friend requests. Your SEN account privacy settings will not apply to your Epic Games account. Wow, this is by definition an evil company. Fortnite end user license agreement. Jesus Christ, Epic. What the fuck?
This is incredible.
I have no words right now. This is beyond evil. This is arresting your rights. Literally in that section, you have no fucking rights. You have UGC, not anymore. We own it. You want to use your rights and try to defend yourself? Sorry, dude, you have none. You want to defend yourself in some way, somehow, after that, even though you have no rights? Sorry, dude, we've got arbitrations and we own the contract under the blah 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 blah. Holy shit! This is taking things to a whole nother degree. I'm not gonna accept that in the slightest. Fortnite can go screw itself. Thank you for, watching this. Buy my merch!